Thank you very much. Thank you very much. One more shot. Oh, we apologize for that. One more shot, please. And I believe that all participants from online platform, you want to join with us here right now, but please capture this remarkable moment together. Please be seated. Thank you very much. We would like to take a few minutes by preparing for the launch as well before we start the first session. And following the opening remark, we will proceed to enjoy a delightful launch together, providing the opportunity for networking and further interaction among our esteemed guests. Dear all online participants, I would like to encourage you all of you that within each session, if you have any question or you would like to discuss with our esteemed speakers, please feel free to place the wave hand button or send the message via chat box. We would like to bring all your questions, your message, your idea and suggestions to be delivered to all our speakers. Carry around me to inform all of you once again. Throughout the course of this event, we will dive into various topics to the startup ecosystem. There will be a great opportunity to all of you to hear from experts on the importance of cross-border collaboration and partnership within Southeast Asia, as well as gain valuable insight on launching successful digital startups. Furthermore, we will gain knowledge about Japan, startup ecosystem, and venture capital trends in Shakir, broadening our horizons and strengthening international connections all together. And there will be a great opportunity within today. We will navigate the ever-changing landscape of entrepreneurship, share lessons learned, and uncover strategy for success. We would like to aspire to foster an environment where collaboration and innovation flourish, paving the way for a startup to thrive and make the lasting positive impact on our world. As we commence this event, let's keep in mind the goal we aim to achieve together. All right. So it seems like all the lunchbox are ready to be served right now. Carry around me to moving on to our first session, the importance of cross-border collaboration and partnership in Southeast Asia. This topic will be presented by Ms. Ayumi Yuasa, Deputy Directors of OECD Development Center. Please kindly engage and enjoy with her expertise. She will shed light on the significance of collaborative effort within the region. Welcome to the floor, Ms. Ayumi.
Thank you very much. Dear participants of the Southeast Asia Startup Assembly, dear colleagues, excellencies, I am deeply honored to be here with you today. My name is Ayumi Yuasa, Deputy Director of OECD Development Center. I flew from Paris to join the National Innovation Agency's International Advisory Board meeting, which I am a member of, and also to enjoy the SITE event. And of course, this session. I would like to share a multilateral initiative from my current work at OECD and a bilateral initiative from Japan, my home country, on the importance of cross-border collaboration and partnerships. Firstly, let me take a moment to introduce the OECD, or the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. The OECD is an international organization that fosters policies aimed at elevating the economic and social well-being of people globally, serving as a platform where 38 member countries can collaborate, share experiences, and seek solutions to shared challenges. The OECD holds a vital role to foster innovative policies and standards that promote stronger, more sustainable, and more inclusive economies. Also, my center, OECD Development Center, was created 60 years ago upon the proposal by the US President John F. Kennedy with a vision of nurturing mutual understanding and cooperation among countries at diverse stages of development. By fostering conversation among economies, encouraging knowledge sharing, and by orchestrating international development efforts, the center exemplifies the principles of cross-border collaborations and partnerships. I now want to turn to a relevant example of cross-border collaboration to foster innovation and sustainable development. As part of the OECD EU project on transforming economies, we are currently collaborating with 4 Asian countries, which are Thailand, India, Indonesia, and Vietnam, to illustrate the power of partnerships, the potential of startups, and the indispensable role of government policies in catalyzing innovation. This multi-country approach offers us a unique opportunity. We can learn from the diverse experiences, understand the different contexts, and capture various innovation practices that these countries bring on the table. It's a way to appreciate the many ways of fostering innovation, each with its unique strengths, opportunities, and challenges. Firstly, let me touch upon the global landscape regarding startups. The startup scene has expanded beyond the traditional hotbed of Silicon Valley and has now truly gone global. In 2010, global venture capital totaled $44 billion US. It has been a tenfold increase, reaching an astonishing $400 billion US. That's nearly equivalent to GDP of countries like Singapore or Denmark, and represents almost 0.5% of the world's GDP. One of the exciting results of this surge in investment is the proliferation of what we call unicorns, or firms valued at over $1 billion US. Today, we have seen 7 times more unicorns than we just had found just 5 years ago. They can now be found in double the number of countries and 4 times as many cities as before. When we look at the broader Asian landscape, China and India dominate, absorbing 57% and 90% of Asia's venture capital respectively. Singapore, with its long history of supporting startups, serves as a regional hub, accounting for 6% of regional investment. However, we are witnessing the rise of new hubs in the region, including Indonesia, which now attracts 3% of venture capital in Asia, and Thailand, which garners 1%. Startup ecosystem also exhibit different specializations depending on the region. Take Thailand as an example. It shares a similarity with some other Southeast Asian countries in that they specialize in solutions tailored for their young and burgeoning markets. The dominant sectors here include various applications, e-commerce, and fintech. On the other hand, we see a different trend in more matured markets. For instance, more advanced sectors such as AI and analytics make up a substantial portion of startups in Asia, average at 8%. In China, there is a larger emphasis on health and biotech, as well as electronics and manufacturing. The differentiation of specialization highlights the diverse opportunities that exist across different startups ecosystem and underscores the importance of tailored support and policy intervention. So how can we promote startups? Understanding and mapping the evolving policy framework is crucial. At the OECD, we have developed a comprehensive framework to review policies for startups. Initiated in 2013, The framework was first applied in Latin America and has since been expanded to other regions, such as Egypt and Shenzhen in China. We recognize that the certain policies are foundational for a startup ecosystem, including those related to skills, infrastructure, trade, innovation, and industrial policies, and science, research, and innovation policies. Then there are policies that are more specific to startups. We have identified 5 main areas of intervention. Investing, for instance, providing seed capital to startups. Connecting, this could mean incubating and accelerating startups, providing mentoring services. Third is creating market, achieved through instruments such as procurement. Fourth is transforming mindsets. Fifth is reforming legal frameworks. Currently, with this framework, we are populating with data from Thailand, Indonesia, Vietnam, and India. This approach allows us to identify gaps and potential areas for policy intervention and ensure that we are creating a nurturing environment for startups. This Startup Asia report will be launched at the Global Entrepreneurship Congress in Melbourne in September 19th to 22nd this year, September this year. The platform will offer country assessments, peer reviews, benchmarking, and roadmap for reforms. So it's the ongoing work, so I'm sorry that I cannot share all the results now, but it will be coming in 3 months, so please stay tuned. And now let me quickly touch upon other works related to startups by OECD. OECD published Entrepreneurship in Regional Innovation Clusters, case study of Chiang Mai and Chiang Rai, Thailand, in November 2021. And also we published a report on SME and entrepreneurship policy in Vietnam recently. For OECD countries, we have financing SMEs and entrepreneurs scoreboard. And for Southeast Asia SMEs, we provided overview of alternative financing instruments. And OECD has a platform on financing SMEs for sustainability, and it's extending participating countries to involve more non-OECD countries. So we will hold a ministerial meeting later this month, actually, and please stay tuned. We will be issuing a lot of information via our OECD website. Now let me turn to the bilateral partnership, taking an example from Japan. Myself, before joining OECD 3 years ago, I had been with JICA, Japan International Cooperation Agency, for about more than 20 years. And JICA is an implementing body of Japan's official development assistance. So naturally, here in OECD, I'm collaborating a lot with JICA. So as startups are playing crucial role in achieving the SDGs, JICA is focusing more on supporting startups that amplify social impact. To that end, JICA, together with a strategic consulting and business development firm called Dream Incubator, recently conducted a survey to identify the challenges and to determine JICA's direction. With their permission, I will highlight some relevant points from the survey. As the role of business in achieving SDG is becoming increasingly important, and impact investment, that is, investment in companies that creates both economic and social impact, is getting popular around the world. In the 6 years leading up to 2019, total global investment rose 7-fold to $715 billion. Yet, as shown in this figure, a significant financing gap of $2.6 trillion must be filled to reach the $6 trillion required for the achievement of the SDGs by 2030. As shown in the figure Previously, impact investment has taken place mainly in Europe and North America. Recently, however, companies in South and Southeast, especially startups, are playing a more critical role in the future economies of their countries. Reflecting these, interest and expectations in impact investment has rapidly shifted towards South and Southeast Asia. By country, during the period between 2004 and 2019, large amounts of capital flow went into Indonesia and India, as they are the two countries with vast populations and big social impact potentials. By sector, investment in finance and energy are significant compared to the other sectors. Microfinance projects are the major capital destination in the finance sector, and renewable energy projects are the major capital destination in the energy sector. As there is financial gap of $2.6 billion to achieve the SDGs, there are many public and private players in impact investment, including development agencies like USAID and Germany's BMZ, who are JICA's counterparts. In South and Southeast Asia, there are cases where government and international aid agencies together establish impact investment ecosystem. For example, ADB has established an impact investment fund under a grant scheme for investing in tech-related startups in order to promote impact investment in South and Southeast Asia. Japanese ODA ranks as one of top among world donors in dollar terms, but JICA or Japanese ODA itself rank low in the private fund mobilization compared to other donors like USAID or Germany. So therefore, in addition to the efforts already made by Japan's NEDO, who will be speaking later, JICA, who is implementing agency of Japanese ODA, is enhancing its support scheme targeting South and Southeast Asia. As shown in the slide, the private sector in particular is increasingly looking into JICA as an up-and-coming catalyst to mobilize private capital. JICA has started many projects to support startups all over the world, but let me introduce JICA Ninja Accelerator Program. You may recall Ninja Turtles, maybe not. But Ninja here means that new innovation with Japan. Yes, Ninja. And we have a video that provides real-life testimonies from participants in the Ninja Accelerator Program in Southeast Asia. So let me play it for about 5 minutes.
And accelerate the adoption of circular economy.
We want to solve traditional fisheries wicked problem by providing market access to them.
Our mission is to make counseling accessible, affordable, and confidential for everyone, particularly young professionals.
We want to be a world-class company specializing in food technology with natural products.
We want to be the biggest agri-tech platform, empowering over 100 million smallholder farmers in rural Southeast Asia.
Over the last 20 years, private sector capital has been playing a critical role in achieving social and economic impact. We at JICA believe that scaling innovative startups will create both social and economic impact efficiently and bring us one step closer to achieving the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Next innovation with Japan Ninja is a 9-week equity-free global startup acceleration and innovation initiative supported by JICA for seed-stage startups focused on Thailand, Philippines, Indonesia, Malaysia, or Bangladesh with product market fit and revenue that are looking to scale. of the 200 plus startups who applied, we selected 15 of the most promising startups in the region. And over the last 9 weeks, we provided the startups with a structured program with access to industry experts, both to stress their business plans and prepare for the demo day.
Its exercises led the team to make important team and product questions that really drove forward our understanding of our own business.
Real mentoring guidance in real business experience to face the real world.
The discipline, the razor-sharp focus, and the willingness to support the entrepreneurs.
Hands-on mentorship.
The program made sure that everything we learned about in theory was applied to our real-world business. Bridging this gap between theory and practice was made possible thanks to the hands-on mentorship.
The people make all of the difference with their global knowledge, applying it to our context.
No need to do everything yourself. When others are doing it, just ride on it. Partnership metrics was a great idea for us.
The value of innovation through all aspects of the business.
The program was really well structured and invited a lot of amazing speakers to participate.
One-on-one mentoring session for me. In this session, we have able to discuss more deeply about our startup problem and gain.
The participant coming from various region, business models and unique personality, but all of us is aiming the same goal.
All the preparation during the last 9 weeks will culminate during the demo day, where the startups get to pitch their businesses to the top investors in the region.
We are ready for demo day.
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 Yes, so this is the one example of JICA Ninja Accelerator. We have been doing this in other continents like Africa and Latin America, and we are trying to expand this project. Yes, as you may have gathered from the video, the participants highlighted 2 key points: the importance of cross-border learning and partnerships. And this is what is about today's session. And on a personal note, I am eager to contribute to achieving the SDGs through the promotion of such partnerships. I would be delighted if you could connect with me on maybe social network like LinkedIn, so that we can work together, collaborate together in coming future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Yumi. Thank you for sharing your insight. We still have a few minutes to open the big discussion. We'll follow to take the deeper into the insight that what Ms. Ayumi has shared with all of you. Anyone would like to share any ideas or suggestions relating to the importance of cross-border cooperation and partnership in Southeast Asia? Or if you have any questions, feel free to ask Ms. Yumi. And what's about the Zoom participant? Have any question? Okay, no question. Thank you to you once again.
Thank you. And just to add, maybe not only from Southeast Asia regions, but you can learn from like African region. So that kind of mutual learning experiences, multilateral organization or also bilateral donor agency like JICA can facilitate. And thank you for the looking forward to the future collaboration. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your effort and dedication in sharing your insight with us today. I totally agree with you that the private sector played a crucial role in startup ecosystem in Southeast Asia as well. The cross-border collaboration and partnership will make this industry to gain more benefit by our society as well. Next on our agenda is an enlightening session titled The Key Strategy for Launching a Successful Digital Startup, presented by Mr. Sim Segut, the former government CIO of the Estonia government. We would like to welcome you to join with our session, Mr. Sim Segut. His experience and knowledge will offer valuable guidance for aspiring entrepreneurs in digital realm. Welcome.
Thank you. And again, an honor to speak on Estonians' behalf, even though I don't speak on government's behalf necessarily anymore. But I do come from that background, and indeed, Estonia takes a lot of pride in being a great startup nation among many others. Now, but perhaps just on a personal note, my own background includes having worked in what became the country's first, one of the first venture capital firms, a public venture capital fund to really boost the startup ecosystem and industry, as well as now investing myself in a way. So I think we've seen close by what does it take to really grow a great company. But before that, perhaps I should just start still from a bit of Estonia background in that sense. And I thought as a change not to rely on slides, but rather try to paint a picture in words. Estonia these days enjoys a very buzzing startup ecosystem. If you look into, let's say, even international comparisons, it's right there next to the big guys, so to speak. Estonia is a country of 1.3 million people only, but exactly as a sort of startup hub, right there at the sort of, top 10 or so forth of ecosystem and environments. Now, we take a lot of pride having 1,400 or more, 1,500 startups now, 10 unicorns. So if you take everything back to per capita basis, then if you look at around the world, only Israel beats us. And in that sense, I think it's been very interesting to see what sort of even individual strategies that I was asked to speak about here have made sort of 10 unicorns out of 1.3 million people happen. Well, first of all, the very major factor contributing to why startups have grown and launched from Estonia so successfully is that we are a country of 1.3 million people. Estonia is not a market. You want to start a company, you go global immediately. So this is our point of saying that if you really want to become big, you go to London, you go to Silicon Valley, you take a no-return flight basically and try to make it there while keeping a base in the ecosystem of Estonia, because that's where the talent, that's where the development pool, that's where sort of exactly you can build a product while selling it globally from day one. I think this sort of forced approach to basically branch beyond your natural habitat means that those who make it really make it, because you're forced to be facing all the sort of greats of the world immediately. The second aspect, well, not looking beyond just the small size, is that if you look into Estonian companies, some of the sort of biggest sort of even unicorns, very few of them are tech-driven. They are business innovation-driven. And this is to say that a few of them, yes, can claim to have made great strides in deep tech, for example, right? Being early inventors of distributed ledgers before blockchain was a word, for example. But fundamentally, those who make it the biggest, they really disrupt the business with whatever technology is out there. And so whether you look into guys who disrupted foreign exchange from Wise, whether if you look into guys who basically disrupted CRM field from Pipedrive, you can go on and saying it's their acumen of business, their desire and their view to really change how these vectors, verticals, sectors work. That's what made them big, not because they were good at tech. They have to be decent in tech, but not the inventors of tech. And this also brings me to the point of saying that what we see across the board, the biggest companies are usually not the first ones that the founders start. They might be the second or third ones. Or it's the founders who start them mid-career. And so from even government point of view, for example, if we talk about support measures, a very important sort of insight from this has been to say, hey, yes, of course, we should support youth entrepreneurship, we should support new enterprises coming out of universities, but even more so, what can we do to get those experienced in different verticals, to disrupt those verticals now? How can we get them sort of meet career people, start to go on, venture out themselves, and start companies that take on the world? So business innovation, business disruption has really been the common trait in a way. The third thing, and I think this is really where also the government has had its share now. All of Estonian startups have a very strong sense of community and actively leverage the community, the ecosystem around them. It has gone even to the point where at some point Estonian startups were called mockingly Estonian mafia because they always watched out for each other and had each other's backs in a sense of bringing each other leads, sharing insights, sharing practices, mentoring each other, founders starting and supporting the next founders. I mean, it's a closely knit community. It helps again that we're small, right? So basically, in a way, you know a lot of people around you. But fundamentally, it's also been saying that we don't compete with each other. We compete with the world. So that sort of community thing has really greatly leveraged, all the way from funding, talent, I mean, you name it, all the elements of making company grow and big. You can greatly get help for those elements from your community around you, from the ecosystem, from the gang around you. So this is my point of saying that this is what the government realized, saying we had early successes, which was sort of pure luck. Like Skype was built and born from Estonia, the very first unicorn we ever had. Government had nothing to do with it. But as it happened, government realized, but hey, let's piggyback on this now. Let's say, try to use this luck to build the momentum for the next unicorns, the next startups, and start fostering a community from that. So that the folks, for example, who worked in Skype, when they had an amazing experience in terms of how to grow a company big, a very unique experience. Now, how can we make them become the next founders, was government thinking. How can we get the next founders, tap into their knowledge and know-how and networks and so forth. So that became the effort of government. So Startup Estonia, as a sister program to Startup Thailand, if you wish, what they do is community building. Estonian startup programs are not about financial incentives that much. It's about managing, fostering, and facilitating the community. Exactly as a way to then make everyone go bigger in the world. And my last point, this is where Miss Ayumi started from, in a way, from the OECD network. Look, at the end of the day, it's a talent business. You want to launch, you want to grow big, you need talent. And especially if you're a country of 1.3 million people. So for us, skills issue, even as a government, was never that much about education, but doing all we can to be open and attract talent from abroad, for example. And for companies, this means that you have to be really good at talent attraction and management. That has become the key differentiator between who makes it or who breaks along the way. So it's way easier said than done, but fundamentally, exactly talent and tapping into talent, bringing them over, I mean, that's ultimately where even those who might have a great business disruption idea, if they don't get good at that, they're going to hit the ceiling of growth. So from this, if I just finish up perhaps my small intervention, so I already have tried to hint, so what does it take to make it in the world? It helps to become from a small place because globe is your market. You really can tap into communities. The best guys disrupt the business more than the tech. And lastly, you have to be really good and relentless on talent management. How can government support that? I already hinted a few things. Governments can foster the community and you exactly focus on building the ecosystem around. Talent is purely government policy thing. And well, I would also say that really trying to exactly not just see innovation, not just these startups as a tech thing, but really an innovation as the broad things, that is what governments can do. So thank you for the small attention. I hope these a few remarks chart a bit of thinking, and I'm happy to take any questions if there are. Thank you.
Well, we appreciate that you inspire us a lot about your guidance, your strategy from Estonian government. If you have any question or would like to know more, okay, we have that, please. Yeah.
Just like this? Yes, please. Thank you very much. That was great insights. It's very interesting to see the growth of Estonia as a startup hub. My name is Stefan. I'm from the Austrian Embassy, from the commercial section.
Grüß Gott.
Grüß Gott, hello, freut mich. You mentioned lots of things, why it has been successful and how this rise has come about. International cooperation, was that also a part of it? Is there also something that you could touch upon, if that is a part of the success of Estonia and the learnings that maybe have happened during the time when there was the rise of it as a startup hub?
Thank you for that, and thank you for bringing that up in the context of our discussion here. So, interestingly enough, I think if you look into the journey of Estonian ecosystem growth, international cooperation didn't feature that for a long time as like an engineer thing. I mean, if our startups went to the world, obviously international linkages were made. Their investors were international. Their mentors were international. Their clients were international, right? So that's sort of fostering, in a sense, to say the community and the ecosystem of Estonian startup is not just Estonian in that sense. It has a lot of foreign friends and allies in it. Having said that, after some years, government started, like I said, government focus was on building the community. That started branching out into communities around and linking up with sort of other sort of startup hubs, in a sense to say that, first of all, that was a way to perhaps attract talent in. Like I said, talent is a critical thing. Or secondly, to see if there's a joint offering we can make to the world. For example, I mean, Estonian and Finnish, Finland is next door to us, startup communities are very closely aligned also by government efforts. Why? Because we don't compete with each other. Again, jointly, the companies and the ecosystems can go more to the world. So international partnerships emerge to the picture, is my point of view, to complement all the other efforts in a way. But my very last point, and this is what is my very personal view, I see that in the big world, there are certain natural hubs of gravitas anyway. There's always a Silicon Valley, there's always Israel, there's always London like that, many others. I think what's interesting is for the next tier hubs and ecosystems to collaborate, also in a sense to basically perhaps be mutually bridgeheads to each other's regions. Estonia, especially with our e-residency program, can be a bridgehead to the whole of European market, right? Or the other way around, sort of, the countries here who can be bridgehead to European startups. This is my point of saying that I think there's a ways to join forces and exactly beyond just our regions to, between like-minded and likely ambitious hubs and ecosystems.
I have a questions. It seems that they have quite a few numbers of example that's small but very innovative countries. They are very capable to be in the top ranks on both startup and innovation index. And at the same time, if you take a look on very big countries in terms of population, like China, Indonesia, or India, they have a very big market. So you already mentioned that the first specific way of success for Estonia is you have too small market. But what about medium-sized countries like Thailand? Do you have any recommendation regarding to how we could take a moment and use of our size as a medium-sized countries to be more innovative?
Well, thank you for that, and I think I'll take a leap that might sort of spark a bit of debate. I think most countries are small. Globally looking, I would say even Thailand is small, although it's huge compared to Estonia, right? My point of saying that if companies really want to make it in the world, we should really start thinking less about having a home market, first of all. Secondly, it also differs a bit what sort of businesses are we talking about. I should perhaps sort of add a bit of this, the disclaimer for that. B2C is always a very fragmented market, right? If you're trying to basically hit like the people on the street, there's always going to be a local touch you need to add. That's basically something that doesn't scale too well anywhere, right? B2B business, however, that's almost global because the needs, the challenges of your clients are global. That is also one of the reasons why, but from Estonia, if our companies had to go for global market, a lot of them happen to be in B2B space. In B2B space, even more, I don't see a reason why even Americans should see America as their home base. It's the world. Your clients are everywhere. So this is my point of saying that I think it comes down a bit to, let's see, what sort of business you're playing in as well, right? What is the effective strategy? But I would really challenge any founders to not think about home markets at all, think about global markets, even whatever country you come from.
Casper here, Executive Vice President from Thai Startup. So I have a choice to live in Jakarta as well, building companies there and now working closely with people from Vietnam and Laos as well. So what Dr. Pana mentioned is one of the things that I think maybe Ayumi can look into doing more. There is a curse of mid-sized market, right, that we mentioned. You have the big countries like China and India and smaller countries to make it work. So now it's the curse of this mid-sized market that, where do we go? Do we play at home and things like that? So I want to get into a more specific since I've seen a lot of startups from Scandinavia. For example, you mentioned B2B, but the other part is also B2G, right? That they're selling to the government. That's number one. And number two, in terms of, can you go more deeper into specific example of how you build community? Some of the initiatives that the government support that make it work for startup to go global. What are some of the example of the intervention that the government has done to help startup to go global?
Absolutely, and thank you for taking the last bit up. So the practical example is quite very simple. Basically, building a community means bringing people together. By, creating places and times, even like the sort of event here, right? To bring the community together. In Estonian case, literally the calendar of the year is filled with all sort of, let's say, events, things like that. That's one thing. Secondly, what a lot is being done is to try to foster mentoring and learning from each other. So not just basically having, just like events for discussion, but rather really practical learning formats and events like that. Secondly, we try to invest and really support mentorship as a way to build a community as well, right? So even trying, paying for some of the sort of existing founders to really work with the next ones, right? Trying to compensate at least for a bit of that time. And the fourth thing I would mention, I think this is perhaps especially when it comes to what we have seen as a government's role, is that if there's a potential new cluster or a niche of startup industry to take off in a way, I think that's a point where government can help a lot to build a community for the first. I'll take an example of educational technology, EdTech. A few years ago, because Estonia started doing really good in PISA tests, international skills tests, we started getting a lot of attention towards, okay, what have been the solutions used? From that, EdTech companies started to come about, but they were all small, siloed, so forth. So Startup Estonia, as a government program, started a special EdTech initiative, literally trying to bring those few together first of all to attract more to this topic, help them sort of mentor, network each other, and so forth and so forth. So picking up like a nascent niche and trying to make the joint bigger, I think that's sort of a lot what we can do. Like has been, I think is a step with agri-tech here, or you name it. B2G, basically. Here I'm perhaps a bit provocative, but I've not seen too many unicorns grow out of B2G business. Governments are tough buyers. I've been in government buyer many years. We are very stuck in very stubborn and long procurement cycles. These days I sell to governments, so in my own advisory business. So this is my point of saying that I think purely B2G space is tricky, but what I'm going to misuse a term of dual use. I'm going to borrow it from the defense industry. But dual use in the sense that a lot of B2B products actually can be B2G products as well. And I think that's a sweet spot to think about, because that immediately then expands your possible target market from corporate world also to governmental worlds. And so that's where I see a lot of promise, at least. But it's a very specific venue.
Thank you very much once again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing your expertise and insights with all of us. And thank you, question from the floor, because your question can make us more active session. Shifting our focus, next, we are privileged to have Mr. Yoshida Takeshi, Director General of the Innovation Promotion Department of the New Energy and Industrial Technology Development Organization, NATO. He will enlighten us about Japan's startup ecosystem, and his insight will provide a comprehensive understanding of the Japanese entrepreneurial landscape. Welcome, Mr. Yoshida.
Hi everyone. Thank you for having me today. Let me briefly introduce myself. I'm Yoshida, Director General of Innovation Promotion Department, NEDO. That is a Japanese agency, governmental agency. I have been working for this startup supporting a program since 2018, so it's gonna be 5 years now. So I'm delighted to be here to discuss some crucial topics related to startup policies in Japan, NEDO's startup support program, and exploring opportunities for collaboration with ASEAN startup ecosystems. Firstly, I will talk about the Startup Development 5-Year Plan launched by the government of Japan in November 2022. The document is 27 pages and consists of 49 items in lowest hierarchy, as you can see. So I will highlight here some key points and the pillars of the plan to simplify it. Moving on to the targets of the plan, the government aims to achieve substantial growth in the startup ecosystem by setting ambitious goals. First target is increasing the scale of investment tenfold from current 900 billion yen to 10 trillion yen by fiscal year 2027. Additionally, the plan aims to create 100 unicorns from the existing 7, as well as 100,000 startups from the current 10,000. So each target strives for a tenfold increase. To achieve these targets, the plan focuses on 3 pillars. Let's briefly go through each pillar. The first pillar is building human resources and networks for creating startups. First, expand and develop support projects with mentors. As we already talked about the mentorship, the previous speakers, the mentorship plays a significant role in providing guidance, knowledge, from commercialization to financial strategy to entrepreneurs and startups on their journey to success, particularly in their ideation stage to pre-seed stage. Therefore, Information Technology Promotion Agency operates a program called MITO, which has been identifying and supporting talented individuals in the IT field by connecting them with mentors from industry and academia. So far, 300 entrepreneurs have started or commercialized their own businesses through this program. Because of its success, the program aims to expand to other organizations such as NEDO, that is my organization, and AIST, National Institute of Advanced Industrial Science and Technology. Second, establish entrepreneurial development hubs overseas. 1,000 individuals will be dispatched to various countries over the next 5 years. Currently, only 20 individuals have been dispatched to Silicon Valley annually. Third, support startup creation at universities and so on. As you can see, a new 100 billion yen budget for 5 years will be allocated to the Japan Science and Technology Agency to facilitate the commercialization of research results from the over 5,000 university projects. Let's move to the second pillar, which is strengthening funding for startups and diversifying exit strategies. It means that Japanese government provides risk money to stimulate private sector's investment. How to do it is as listed as here. First, strengthen the investment functions of public entities. Japan Investment Corporation, JIC, has a track record of investing in startups through a 120 billion yen fund over the past 4 years. Now JIC has launched a new 200 billion yen fund. SME Support Japan will also enhance its investment functions by increasing investments by 20 billion yen. This will involve new limited liability investments in both domestic and foreign venture capitals that possesses the financial strength and expertise to foster startups. Second, strengthen support measures for R&D startups by NEDO and Japan Agency for Medical Research and Development, AMEDO. A new budget of 100 billion yen for 5 years will be allocated to NEDO. Similarly, 300 billion yen to AMEDO. To bridge the gap between technologies and commercialization, NEDO and AMEDO provide subsidies to VC-backed startups. The condition for receiving these subsidies is that venture capital firms invest 1/3 of the equivalent cost of R&D, with NEDO or AMEDO covering the remaining 2/3. Regarding diversifying exit strategies, these include strengthening connections with overseas ecosystems, improving the environment for stock options, creating a secondary market for unlisted stocks, and reviewing the IPO's process. Now let's turn our attention to the third pillar, promoting open innovation. This pillar focuses on developing an environment that fosters collaboration between established companies and startups. Initiatives such as tax incentive under the Open Innovation Tax System are being implemented to facilitate mergers and acquisitions as a means for startups to achieve substantial growth within established companies. I will skip remaining items and summarize the first topic, that is 5-year plan launched by the government. The plan aims to increase the number of entrepreneurs and startups. The government provides risk money to stimulate private sector's investment and promote open innovation. Now, let's turn to our attention to NEDO's Startup Support Program. NEDO was established in 1980, just after the second oil crisis, to tackle with energy issue. That's why one of NEDO's objectives is addressing energy and global environmental problems. Other objectives are enhancing industrial technology and supporting deep tech startups. Third one is the major role of my department. This page shows an overview of supporting deep tech startups by stage. NEDO provides subsidies 2/3 for R&D costs ranging from 22,000 to 19 million US dollars at different growth stage. Please look at the left side. NEDO Entrepreneurs Program supports entrepreneurs at the pre-startup stage, as well as startups in their nascent phase. On the other hand, please take a look at the this side, right side. Deep Tech Startups Support Program supports VC-backed startups in their seed stage and early stage. The Deep Tech Startups Support Program, which I will highlight, consists of 3 programs. Please look at the table on the bottom. These include the STS, Seed Stage Technology-Based Startups Program, the PCA, Product Commercialization Alliance Program, and the DMP, Demonstration Development for Mass Production Program. Each program provides varying levels of subsidies ranging from 2.2 million to 19 million US dollars to venture capital-backed startups. NEDO covers 2/3 of the equivalent cost of R&D, with the condition that venture capital firms invest 1/3. It is important to note that these programs support Japanese startups only, but they are open to overseas venture capitals. Therefore, if you know of any VCs interested in investing in Japanese startups, please do let me know. Additionally, Japanese startups can conduct overseas technology demonstration. So if you know of any corporations interested in collaborating with Japanese startups, please connect with them. I'd show you the result of the first programs. We have 40 IPO companies over the first 30 years, and their aggregated market value is 8 billion US dollars. I'd like to show you examples of specific startups that NEDO supported. First one is Sasumedo, digital therapeutics company. It was established in 2015. Since then, NEDO supported it via multiple programs that I showed you in the previous slide. Then it went to public in 2021 December, and its market cap is 150 million US dollars. Another example is Mirai Kikai, which is a robotics company providing a solar panel cleaning robot and so on. As examples are shown, the program covers various industries such as robotics, life science, AI, electronics, energy, food, agriculture, and so on. To conclude the second topic, NEDO's startup support program, NEDO provides subsidies to Japanese startups. They can conduct overseas technology demonstration, and also we welcome global venture capital firm. Moving forward, let's discuss exploring opportunities for collaboration with ASEAN startup ecosystems. By the way, do you know this year marks the 50th anniversary of ASEAN-Japan friendship? Probably you don't know it. Anyway, Japan has been actively engaging with ASEAN countries to foster collaboration and drive innovation. So, based on this backdrop, the government of Japan has launched the ASEAN-Japan Co-Creation Fast Track Initiative as the 50th anniversary project. The first pitch was already held on April 20th in Singapore, and the second pitch will be held on August 7th in Bangkok, Thailand. Applications shall be submitted by July 2nd, as you can see here. Grant up to 20 million yen by the Asia Digital Transformation Promotion Program will be given to the finalist startups. Secondly, let me talk about J-Bridge, which is a business platform to facilitate collaboration between Japanese and overseas companies. JETRO, which is another Japanese agency, supports cross-border open innovation for accelerating digital and green transformation. Let me introduce a member of JETRO here, Ms. Wakasugi. She is the member from JETRO, so that you can consult with these programs with her. Thank you. And lastly, I would like to introduce NEDO Startup Pitch in SITE2023, which will be held tomorrow, this room, 106. You will see 9 promising Japanese startups with depth of technology, great market potential, and outstanding teams. Not only pitching, but also they're exhibiting their technology booths over there. So please visit their booths. To conclude the third topic, Please remember that this year marks the 50th anniversary of the ASEAN-Japan Friendship. In addition, ASEAN has a lot of new business opportunities thanks to its rapid economic growth and large population of young people. So I strongly hope that by actively seeking opportunities for collaboration with ASEAN startup ecosystems, we can further strengthen the ties between the regions and drive innovation together. Thank you for your attention, and I look forward to any questions or discussions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Yoshida, to share on the Japan startup ecosystem on NATO startup program through August. And today we have the experts from Japan to discuss and meet all of you too. We would like to open the floor. If you have any question, we'd like to gain more knowledge from Mr. Yoshida. Any question from Zoom? No? Welcome, Dr. Panat.
Yes, I would like to ask you about the policy shift within the Japanese government. Since the rise of Japan, big corporation in Japan always dominate science, technology, or innovation scenes. And at this moment, it seems that the policy regarding to sizing companies already changed. Could you elaborate more about what happened and why it suddenly changed and shift into startup domination?
Oh, thank you very much for your question. Let me clarify your question first. So the government of Japan is now focusing on the startups rather than the big corporation. So yes, that's very true. Under the Prime Minister Kishida's administration, formed the new committee, kind of, and talking about the new capitalism. So they are focusing on the startups. The discussion by that committee. So the Japanese big corporations, like say Sony or NEC, they were also the startups in their very early age, very early phase. So they are looking back to that just after the second, World War II. Then similarly, last year 2022, marked as the startup creation year. And so that you're creating more innovative company startups, and then collaborate with the big corporations, so that even big corporations can be more innovative. If you look at the world, say 500 corporation ranking, then gradually the number of the Japanese big corporations are decreasing. So that's why the government of Japan would like to support startups and open innovation between these big corporations and startups. Thank you.
Thank you. The questions from Dr. Panat too, and we would like to thank you for sharing your insight. And once again, could you please give a big round of applause? Thank you to Mr. Yoshida Takeshi.
Thank you.
Thank you very much from Japan. We would like to continue our exploration to the global startup ecosystem. Our next session will feature Mr. Yuri Tabarsky, Process Manager at Chase Invade, who will share with us on the insights on venture capital trends in Czech Republic and the startup ecosystem. We'd like now to welcome Mr. Yuri Tabarsky on the floor.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I'm Jiří Táborský from Czech Invest, Czech governmental agency for business and investment. And thank you for this opportunity. According to the fact that I'm working for Czech Invest for such a long time, I will talk about the work of the others. But first of all, it's going to be not only about investment. I need to introduce the Czech Invest and its ecosystem for startups. So, well, Czech Invest has been established in 1992 with the aim to help to transform after the worldwide revolution from the central planet and the world economy into the market-oriented one. And the main thing what we have to do, what the aim was to transform, to provide the change of the state ownership of the property into the private hands. Was successful, but with the new millennium and changes in the world and in the economy, in the society, we are focused on a sector with higher added value in order to diversify the economy. And from 2011, we get several programs with the calls, with the public service, public funding to help our startups with their creation from the stage of seed, from the stage of idea into the expansion and development. So far, we got almost 400 startups in various programs. The last call finished 2 days ago, with 200 participants in several sectors. And now the expansion with every month we took average five startups abroad. Right now we got 3 of them here and 1 sitting right there. And 24% of startups received investment of total amount of more than almost 1.2 million of crowns. Our activities are not only about the funding, it's a development of the Czech firms' potential, support for smart investment, promotion of the Czech economy abroad, is maybe the reason why we are here. But also, and it's the most important thing, the cultivation of the business and investment environment in all regions of the Czech Republic, because most of our partners know Prague, the capital, but there are more regions and there are still some differences between them. And of course, it's a connection of investment of the academic sphere and startups. Want to keep them together. 8 current challenges for Czech Invest. The main one is attract and support priority and smart investments. Second is keep high quality projects in the Czech Republic and support their further development, which is the most important thing for us and for the economy to keep them based in our country. But of course, they have to be oriented globally. Motivate companies to implement Industry 4.0 and technologies and principles is essential for these times. reduce the pressure on firms associated with lack of skilled workforce, trying to educate not only investors but also our startups, and trying to connect them with the universities, for example. Support the development and global ambitions of domestic firms. This is what I talk. They have to think globally, and their project has to be innovative, minimal on a European level. Support entrepreneurship and startup companies with various programs and services. Contribute to the cultivation of the Czech investment and business environment, and develop the corresponding business infrastructure. And well, we're doing this with tools like Czech startup links, which is something like a marketplace where investors and startups could meet, and ensure in the development of Czech Invest, of course, for future time. The landscape, innovation landscape in Czech Republic is almost 50 plus incubators and accelerators, including regional innovation centers. It's good to know Czech Republic got technical high school or university almost in every region, in every bigger city in our country. Nearly 20 science and technology parks, co-working spaces, maker spaces, 35 plus venture capital funds, 58 industrial clusters, and 6 national innovation platforms under our Ministry of Industry and Trade, 2 SIABICs, Prague and Brno. Maybe you don't know, but Czech Republic is a space superpower without any rocket. But, the headquarters of USPA is located in Prague, and we got 2 SIABICs, and there is one startup supported from SIABIC in here, Segnik. One completed national incubation acceleration program started from 2011 and finished it on 2022. One new national technology incubation program with 2 calls already. The second was finished 2 days ago, and the next one will be held on September with the various sectors. One new startup internationalization program from 223 to 225, and a web Czech startups.org. Those could do. Okay. Now about technology incubation, which is a unique opportunity to develop from idea to commerce. It's dedicated to Czech startups, well, from students, from founders with new ideas, and it's developed from idea to commerce. It's focused globally and to commercialization with several sectors. At this moment, there were creative AI and mobility and tech for life, and there are going to be much more. And in this call, in this program, the last call, were almost 200 participants with and 50% approximately are successful. The reason for why is it only 50% plus minus is limited allocation for each call, so they get another chance on a September. One thing is unique in case of the technology incubation, and it's a unique, especially in a Czech Republic from the past, that the decision maker who's going to be supported and funded, because the limit for a foundation is limited in a de minimis. It means 200,000 euro, and per one project and one company. And the decision maker is not the clerk from government. The decision maker is a committee, the assessment from experts, from pracs, from academic sphere, etc., or from successful founders, but never from the clerk. Clerk only says when they're gonna send the money and to what services do we provide. And the support is split into two parts. The first one is the direct, which means it's a payment of some services, always connected with a project, with a product. And the second one are services like mentors, like meeting rooms rental, etc., etc. And it's actually paid by our agency. Well, services for a startup, I spoke already about that. It's a business development, support and advice, office spaces and shared facilities all around the Czech Republic in all regions. The incubation program is up to 2 years, 2 years long. Hands-on customer assistance. We got a huge team of incubation managers and project managers. There is one special thing in case of the technology incubators that we got before the call. We got a service called pre-incubation, where our specialists, our experts help how to set up the company. Yeah. What do you need to do in a Czech Republic? How to write the right incubation plan, the business plan, what's necessary to be done before the call, and how to be a successful in this call. Well, we open it for international networks of industry players, network of startups, but also providing service for investors. Well, startup acceleration project for 3 years, from 2023 to 2025, and it's addressed, it's dedicated to a shortage of startups with a global aims, help them to be global, low degree of internalization among young Czech innovative companies and their expansion, and there's a shortage of high quality mentors, especially those with experience from business abroad. Well, now about Czech startup ecosystem, which is, now is it nice incubators, accelerators. You see the government, it's only us, or our Ministry of Industry and Trade, investors, VC capital, VC funds, like the most important or the most investment is a Credo. There are plenty of them. Not all of them are located in Czech Republic or in Europe. Incubators are also ESA, the European Space Agency. Events we held like a Web Expo, Futureport Prague, and competitions as an idea of the year, nápad roku, and other players in a hub like Škoda Auto from automotive, or TIC, Czech founders, startup jobs. It's a job portal dedicated to startups only. Angels Media, wherever, And there are some success stories we can talk about. Gonna be on maybe on a next slide about our unicorns. It's most common is rohlík, CZ, which is it means rohlík is a Czech word for a croissant, and it's e-grocery, it's a food delivery. Product board, which is product management tool. Avast, maybe you know, it's antivirus software. Twister, it's a fintech. Kiwi.com, it's really important, one of our important startups. It's a system who hacks the airlines, they say it, and they're able to find you the best connected flights to save your money, to save the cost of the flight ticket. Liftago, which it's a hybrid of taxi and system like a Bolt or like Uber. Here 2022 at a glance. Czech startup founders attracted 1.5 billion in a capital in 2022 with a rise our record-breaking rounds were with a SERA, which is e-health system, rohlík, Muse, it's a PMS for a hotel system, and a product board, and also the Kiwi. Again, 1.5 billion VC capital fundraised for unicorns, and a fourth is product board. 111 startups raised in VC, the first SERA. 14 exits, the first round, 250 million. 93% founders stayed with their startups, and 7 in 10 startups grew in revenues. It's really important. Investment count and the value per year. Well, as you can see, the column, the fundraising value is growing, but the number of fundraisings is lower. It depends on it's because of the situation on the Ukraine economical crisis. Well, the investment is still the same, or maybe higher, but investors are a bit afraid, and they're sensitive, and they decide to invest in a few startups, but not only in a seed and pre-seed stage, and they're waiting how they will grow. Is a bit different from the past, because formerly it was that the VC prefer to invest by himself direct without, for example, public funds, because public funds we don't want any share differently from them. Number of startups per capita by country. Well, Czech Republic looks great, 128, but of course there is Estonia, and it's some kind of star, and well, it's a place where we want to go. But the venture capital invested into European tech companies, compounded annual growth rate in % per region, 2018 to 2022. Well, the Central and Eastern Europe is a grower, is a higher than the rest of the Europe. Well, and in Central and Eastern Europe, 4 countries holds over 70% of total VC funding so far in 2022. Again, the first was Estonia, the second Czech Republic, Czechia, then Croatia, and Poland. Our best VC, I said already, it's a Credo. They are found in 2010. Invested in 65 startups, 14 exits, 4 of them are in the Czech Republic, and they're focused on pre-seed and the seed stage. In 2023, they started their 4th fund with a 75 million euro, and they got unicorns. For example, the product board. Index Venture, it's a second one we want to talk about. It's led by a Czech guy. It's Jan Hammer, and their portfolio was also Dropbox, Skype, Slack, Revolt system, or Roblox game platform. And because of him, maybe there are also Czech startups. What should be done? One thing is not written there, but I have to say that our Czech startups are a bit men-only club. There are only 3.3% of women. We want to change it. We have to find a way how. But at this moment, it is the situation we worry about. Okay, then next issues are outdated employment and visa policies. Long-time problem in a Czech Republic. We have to fight with limited access to pre-seed capital, but it's getting better, definitely. And of course, the government can't fund all pre-seed stages. A lack of entrepreneurial education at all levels. Top challenges and focus areas are sales and business development, of course, product development and management. Next one, really important is a legislation situation that we don't have startup nation standards, special startup policies. There is no definition of startup in our laws, so we need to change it. And well, definition is a bit different maybe in every country. Market Czechia as a startup company. This is the goal, the mission of Czech Invest. Attract foreign VC capital and startup Czechia, invest in Czechia. Thank you for your attention. It was great opportunity.
Thank you very much. We are appreciate for your effort and your dedication and sharing your insight. We have a few minutes like to open the floor. If you have any question in your mind, would like to ask from information from Mr. Jiri. Any question from the floor? It seems like there are no questions, and I would like to thank you once again. Thank you very much. Dear all participants, to rejuvenate ourselves for the final segment on the open floor discussion, we shall now take a break for 15 minutes. Please kindly enjoy a coffee break and refreshment outside. So we also provide the opportunity to network and engaging to each other. And dear all online participants, please kindly be right back after a break for 15 minutes. See you after the break.
Okay, since we already have a brief review regarding to cross-border collaboration, it's a very big picture in terms of international collaboration regarding to startup and innovation. Then we have 3 country cases, Estonia, Japan, and Czechia, regarding to the updating on startup and innovation system. Now, there are 4 specific open discussion, 4 dimensions that include access to funding and investment, international collaborations and markets expansion, bridging the skill gaps and building strong entrepreneurial networks. Since we have around 11 countries here in the room and also from Zoom, I would like to organize the time limitation for each dimension for 10 minutes on open discussion. so that we can have a fruitful conversation by each dimension. I will give the floor to Dr. Chayathorn to run the open discussion floors. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I think as Dr. Pana has mentioned, I think we have 4 main areas. We would like to propose 4 main areas to discuss in this opening discussion. And let's start with the first one. From the case of 3 countries and also from the participants from the Zoom as well, we would like to discuss further more about access to the funding and the investment, because many of you have mentioned about the accessibility of the funding and investment, and also after the COVID situation have been reviewed, maybe from last year, I think the funding and investment landscape for the startup is quite changed a lot. So we can discuss in this idea further, and any suggestion for panel and for the floor regarding this issue.
We're going to open the floors. What about you, Casper? Can you open the floors on this?
Thank you so much, Dr. Panat. So from my side, I think we are from the Thai Startup Association. Is privately run. So thanks so much for the support from NAA as well, who has been supporting us for quite some time. One of the key areas that we are looking at is actually because I think the 4 topics are related, right? So we are looking at fundings, early stage funding, but I think in a lot of cases that I've talked with our friends from both Laos and Vietnam and Indonesia, at one stage, I think for ASEAN, we will run into problems of going global anyway, right? So I think one of the things that we are looking at is, since investors are coming to the region to invest in Southeast Asia already anyway, is there a way that we could, work together in terms of helping expansion? For the association, we're also looking at expanding our reach to other ASEAN countries as well, so that we can join forces. So I think with that background, that's why we have been working closely with a few of our partners here from ASEAN on the private side, and I know that we would love a lot more support from the government side, both from ASEAN countries, but also from our partner countries. Like yesterday I was at the Thailand-Japan Economic Forum as well, looking at a lot of investment is been coming here. So I think with that being said, can we structure, I think for the first topic, right, can we structure a more connected ecosystem for the market, so that investor, they can really invest into the Southeast Asian market, not just Thai, Vietnam, or Laos, or Indonesia, or Singapore separately. Yeah. So if people have any ideas, more than happy to.
Okay, you raised quite a few number of hashtag and topics. Early stage funding, global reach on regional startup, apart from inter and intra-regional one. International investors to land at the regions, and also government financial support, and also how to combine the financial support and also investment within the region. Right. Okay, thank you. Who's gonna be next? Anybody? What about Singapore?
Yeah. Hi everybody, I'm Tristan from Enterprise Singapore. Well, I think in relation to startups, I think for Singapore, we have always been known as a hub for the region, and I think we do run a number of activities and events. One of which is actually Switch, which is the Singapore Week of Innovation and Technology. So I guess to Casper's point on accessing early stage funding, it's also about visibility to global investors. And other than the money, I think it's also about accessing resources, right? So for many businesses, whether it's startups or established companies, really 3 areas. So 3 M's, right? So money, manpower, and markets, right? So other than getting the resources, the financial resources is also about the ability to scale. And I think that is another big area for startups, right? So getting access to markets is another key area. And I guess when we talk about money, it's always beyond just the dollars and cents. It's always about the ability of the investors to be able to bring the necessary networks to help the startups to scale. And I think in Singapore, we try to do this by organizing various activities, right? So I think there's a lot of synergy between Singapore and Thailand in that aspect. So the Switch event is one such platform, right? So there's a lot of, I think, activities, competitions that is organized to bring people together. I think that is also kind of an ode to Mr. Sim's point earlier about bringing startup communities together. And I think that's an area that we will continue to do a lot more. And we do see a lot of synergies, not just within Singapore, but also with Thailand. Yeah, so my 2 cents, yeah. I hope I addressed your question.
Can I throw, this is not live, right? It's live? No? Between us, so one of the elephant in the room, right, for supporting different startup from different countries. I know one of the thing is actually how do we, so if we can crack it, we can make it work, right? One of the thing is all the fundings go to Singapore, right? And then all the other friends are crying that the companies later on become Singaporean company, right? This is the elephant in the room that we have to discuss how to make this work, right? I ran a company in Jakarta before, right? So that's not just the Thailand specific issues, right? So I think we have to be able to crack this to make this really work, where the money is going through. So if it's going through Singapore all the time, right? then the Thai government cannot support some of those startups, right? So even with BOI and things like that. So, but we have to find a way that works. And I like the presentation from Japan as well just now. How do you establish a new company together, right, with Japanese company and ASEAN company? I think this is like one of the key topic, right, for government to put in more money so that we can work together cross region, intra region, like Dr. Panat mentioned, but also inter region. If we are able to crack this, we'll be able to unlock a lot more government funding from different countries.
You touch upon the keywords that you mentioned earlier about cross-border collaboration. But in terms of investment, I would say that it's not purely focusing on Singapore at this moment. There are quite a few number of so-called investment hub. Apart from Singapore, you can see Bangkok, you can see Jakarta, you can see Ho Chi Minh City. Okay, it's not on par with Singapore, but there are more and more specific area and focal sectors by default. Like in Thailand, there are more and more climate tech, agriculture and food. And at the same time, you can see that in Indonesia, they have specific fund dedicated to retail wholesale. In Vietnam, mainly in digital. So if we take a look from that evolution, we can make ASEAN trans regional investment through the existing both international investor and also the government fund. Why? Because if we make it more rigid through so-called governmental or intergovernmental body, I think we need to rely heavily on you. People from association, people from ecosystem that can link easier in a city level. then I think the national government within Southeast Asia and also the rest of our collaborator, for example, from Japan, from Korea, or even from Europe, can easily attach their own fund, case by case, like the collaboration that NATO and it has been working for many years on the demonstration plant. But at the end of the day, we expand our collaboration to startup, but not purely Thai. It happened to be in a regional sense. So I think we need to boost up the so-called venture and investment community to work closely with association and with the government.
Yes, I think the representative from Singapore already touched up on some few topics that quite interesting about visibility to the global investor and also accessibility to the resource in the country, and also bringing people together as well. I would like to move to the next topic. I think it's quite related to some idea that you have mentioned about international collaboration and market expansion. Because when we get in order to attract or draw the funding and investment, it's quite important that the startup can find or can identify the market that they would like to expand. Do you have any idea to support about the investment in terms of the market expansion, how to help them or how to support the startup in order to make them grow or expand to the new market or to the market that they have targeted? Any idea?
Dr. Cherakon, I think you're just directing the question to me. Is that right, or is open? Because you're looking at me.
Not direct to you, but
okay.
Just open, because just refer about your idea. Yes, okay. And I think it's quite linked to the next topic that we would like to discuss.
Thank you.
But if you have something to comment, it's quite open for you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. I guess since I already activated the mic, I will just carry on. Yeah. So. Based on our experience, I think the participation of the private sector is very important. I think alluding to what Dr. Panat you mentioned, right? So there are different hubs in the world. Within Southeast Asia, there are a few. But I guess within Southeast Asia as a whole, we are a region. So we always market Southeast Asia as a region, 700 million people. It's a huge market, even though it comprises different markets, different administration. There is definitely a very big market for companies within and also outside the region. So that translates to a lot of opportunity. One of the area that companies can work together is really in terms of the larger players, or what we call the needle movers. Right, so these are your corporates. They have established structures, they have resources, and they will be able to offer the platform for companies, whether it's startups or even within the company. Right, there's entrepreneurship. So all these ideas that come out from different areas, whether it's within the organization, external to the organization, come together, and the fact is they would be able to offer, that platform for the startup to, I guess, develop their services and products further, refine it for the larger market. And I think what is interesting about markets like countries like Thailand is that there's also access to the broader Indo-China region. So like, for example, Cambodia, Laos, and also Myanmar. There is the presence of some of these Thai corporates within the region, and if they were to establish, let's say, a strong partnership with a startup, they can actually help to scale the offerings of these startups to not just within Thailand but also outside of Thailand. So I think with that kind of dynamic, it's quite interesting as well, because then it's not just focusing within one particular market, it also goes around to other markets. So it's Thailand +1, +2, +3. So that actually is interesting dynamic that we observe. Yeah, and I think that also offers a lot of opportunities for startups from whether it's Singapore, from Malaysia, Indonesia, all these are different, I guess, opportunities and platforms for these startups to tap on to expand their reach. Yeah. Thank you.
Yes. Yes. Let me touch upon the issues, not issues, but about the official development assistance. OECD has a committee called Development Assistance Committee. We call it DAC. And that committee makes the rules, what kind of programs by each government, like a Japanese government or United States government, are counted as official development assistance. And nowadays, more and more public-private finance or public finance, including official development assistance finance, to be a catalyst to attract private investment. So if the ODA budget is, even it's small, if that ODA budget succeed in catalyzing private finance, then in total, both public and private finance, budget can be counted as official development assistance. So recently, they kind of changed into that direction. So official development assistance now are more interested in impact investment that to support startups that try to solve both social issues and also the making business. So that's why that's the background that JICA now starting to make that to become catalyst of public-private finance, and also to solve the gap, fill the gap of 2.6 trillion US dollars to achieve SDGs by 2030. We have only 7 years to go. So I think more and more bilateral donors, in addition to like World Bank or ADB, ADB is also already active in Asian area, but more and more bilateral donors are interested in this kind of investment. So I think there are more opportunities, if maybe the government also involved and associations are involved, and that would be the direction, I think.
Yes. I think we have one of participants online that have a question to Nedo. Can you open the chat box, please? I think from Lao, right? Manirat. Yes. May I have a question to Nedo?
We have a question from...
Thank you for the question. So regarding creating startup ecosystem in Japan, mostly it is supported by, no, it's not supported by Japanese government only. As we discussed already, the private sector's investment is more important than the government sector's fund. Since the startup business is purely, business-oriented activity. And also, is there any possibility to expand the Japanese government support to other countries? Well, since NEDO is as stipulated by the law of Japan to support the Japanese entities only, whereas the other entities, like the other agencies like JICA or JETRO, they can assist the foreign startups, foreign companies as well. So please consult with the JICA or JETRO regarding the foreign startups, foreign entities. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. And for the market expansion, I would like to give some question to the representative from Vietnam regarding about the market expansion. Could you please share some idea about the Vietnam context about what is the challenge of market expansion in terms of startup ecosystem in Vietnam?
So currently, I've been working closely with the Thai Startup Association, working on the how to expand the startup ecosystem in Vietnam. So with Thailand as a region, so we have been working together for collab in hosting events and stuff to be more visible for startup with the VCs together. So yeah, that's one thing we're working on that right now for Vietnam ecosystem, looking for more regional opportunities. Yep.
So I would like to add, so I really like what Sim mentioned, is actually we need more time together, right? So as a region, we need more time together. I think for us, that's what we are looking to do, right? NAA SITE event is a very good event for us to gather. I think we need more of kind of this event for us to gather in different countries as well, and then spend more time together. So I think what Andy has been mentioned, we've been working closely between Thailand and Vietnam in terms of on the 15th of August, we will have Thailand-Vietnam Business Forum, but other partners are also invited. This year, still finalize the plan, but the theme will be startup and young entrepreneurship. So we would love for partners from other countries to join us as well. And that's one of the first thing. And in return, we also will do Vietnam-Thailand Business Forum back in Vietnam as well. So I think we need more of this time together. But at the same time, once we host this kind of event, to invite also partners from different countries as well. And then I just came back from Indonesia. We're looking to do and reach closer collaborations. So Dr. Panat mentioned a very good point, is some of this needs to be driven by the association or even the Chamber of Commerce, right? So right now, we also got a support from the Thai Chamber of Commerce and the Board of Trade. The chairman also, that's the reason why we connected very well, because the chairman has been pushing for further collaborations. But then some of these, right, as I mentioned, we need more time together. We might need some support in terms of organizing government funding, and I think Ayumi-san mentioned a very good thing, that you can also have money to support in terms of a bigger region. So I think with the next step, right, would be, can we plan these kind of things in a calendar term? Right, so we will have full years of event like in Estonia, but then in different countries in ASEAN, right? So different partners can plan out their whole years so that we can work together and understand each other in a closer level, because the other challenge is not everyone that is working on a startup can speak the language really well, like us in this room. So that's another challenge we have to discuss and talk about as well.
If I can add, just hearing this discussion a bit, then there's perhaps two comments. First of all, talking about bringing people together, right, and etc., and looking also at the sort of challenges for this discussion here. I think clearly where there's no competition between countries is basically we all have the same sort of skills issues, right? So that's why, I mean, something that we have done at least domestically, but I think can be greatly lended to a regional level, is actually to say, look, I mean, joint skilling in a sense. Okay, what does it really take to capture the next market? What does it take to really grow a company? What does it take to do talent management? I mean, the challenges across the startups are the same. And I mean, somehow organizing and pooling funds, picking each other's brains and stuff like that together. So my point of being that a big part of this sort of networking can actually be also very practical, skilling oriented, among other things, among social gathering. My second point, but hearing this discussion is still, in a sense, to say that a lot of discussion currently is about, okay, so how do we attract others here? But I want to go back to the same point that I was trying to make, that, but how to go to the world, right? I think something what I think we try to do a little bit in the Nordics very strongly between even Tallinn and Helsinki, which are two capitals of Estonia and Finland, is to say that, hey, let's actually do outward reach jointly, meaning export missions, business delegation visits, I mean, stuff like that, right? So it's one thing to say that, look, I mean, like you kind of said, you already promote Southeast Asia as a target region jointly, but also as a source, basically, or home region, going out jointly.
Yes, thank you so much for the comment on this topic issue. Due to the limit time, I would like to move to the next topic about, I think it's quite important part about the skill and the gap in the skill, because many of you have mentioned about the resource, and HR resource is quite important. I think the two main points about the skill and the HR resource is about the strategy that we use to nurturing the new entrepreneur, and also in the other hand, it's about retaining all these entrepreneurs in your ecosystem rather than move to other country. I think this topic is quite important in order to develop or strengthen the startup ecosystem in the country as well. Any idea for this topic about human resource or talent development in the country?
I think if you take a look on university, entrepreneurial universities in Southeast Asia, in Singapore, in Malaysia, in Thailand, even in Vietnam and Indonesia, there are more and more entrepreneurial universities that produce newly established startup companies. It seems become a regional trend, right? The keywords here, it's happen to be industry academy collaboration. This is, I mean, a very classical problems all around the world. My first touch is on entrepreneurial university. It's already a trend here in Southeast Asia. Both university professors and also students, they tend to understand the importance of building up so-called spin-off companies or start-up from universities. Why the collaboration between industries and university is another thing, another animal. Why? Because we are talking about deep technology startup. We're talking about something so-called translational research. You want to transform the knowledge from universities or regional or research technology organization to be a new business. That's involving so-called intellectual property regimes, which is very new in the region. While having new companies, it's become a trend. It's become a pop culture in the universities. But we have very few universities in the region working closely with industries. We have, but it's uncomparable with, I mean, universities producing new entrepreneurs. So in that sense, it's come together. If you take a look from the so-called the leaders of innovation, like some European countries or US, it's this specific two topics become one, right? You have researchers turn to be entrepreneur, and at the same time, the universities work more than, I mean, grooming the young talent or skill. They can support financially. They can do from demonstration up to investment. So in that sense, this is very new among the university. That's why we need to have more collaboration from this type of university. Japan, you have around 7 universities working on that, right? Yeah.
We do have the yeah. And in terms of the collaboration between industry and the university, frankly speaking, the Japanese big corporations are looking at the US or European universities. So that's why the Japanese government wants to encourage the large corporations to work together with the Japanese universities. But the problem is the professors they are not willing to have the business talk. So they are probably, the educating the or the creating the mindset, the innovating mindset among the towards the professors. That would be the first step. Thank you.
And how about the student? Because sometimes professors have like a career path or third track. To be the
Yes.
academic. But
Yeah.
for the student, is it possible to or any program to build up the entrepreneurship for the student, especially like a PhD student or master student, in order to spin off from the laboratory?
Yeah, good question. Nowadays, the young entrepreneurs among the students, that's the trend, the current trend. So the brightest students, they want to be an entrepreneur. Only brightest ones.
Okay, and we also have another topic that we would like to exchange the idea. It's about the last one is about the building strong entrepreneurial network. I think it's quite linked to the topic that we talked before about how to build up the number of entrepreneurship in the professor, in the student as well, and also in the ecosystem. Any idea regarding about entrepreneurial network in the country to strengthening them?
Let me start again. I think when we're talking about the roles of big corporation in the region, we can learn from Japan, learn from the US that the big corporation play a very crucial roles on both markets penetration and at the same time building up the entrepreneurial so-called pathway by using their own fund, their own CVC. For example, in Thailand, we haven't got so many venture capital from abroad comparing with Singapore. Our main financial support and entrepreneurial journey mainly come from corporates, local corporates. And I think quite a few number of countries quite similar. I consider Thailand ecosystem very similar to Japan and Korea. It's being dominated by big firms, local big firms. So in that sense, it's not only Thailand, but I think some leading economy in Asia do the same, but they still have a dilemma. Startup feel that why they need to work with big corporation, why big corporation always dominate the market. But in countries, they can learn from the success stories of big corporation, and at the same time learn from the mistakes and also weaknesses of the big firms. Right? We are talking about Schumpeterian Mark I and Schumpeterian Mark II. First, you want to be new entrepreneur, you're Schumpeterian Mark I. You enjoy risk. You can have a lot of risk. And at the end of the day, you become a bigger one, fat, slow. But you have so many resources, human resources and money. But you can teach, you can mentor the younger generation. So in that sense, I think we already have some platform among regional corporation or even with Japan, big corporation working with startup. So in that sense, I think this is a very crucial thing on mindset, how younger startup could shift their own mindset, working positively with corporate, and why corporate could understand. I am talking about the corporate that may not have long experience working with startups, but they are more and more, will to challenge themselves to use startup approach. So in that sense, it's already been entrepreneurial journey.
Dr. Panat, I think totally agree with what you mentioned, you know, the role of corporates and the support that they can provide. I guess the other players within the ecosystem are also important. So the point I wanted to make was the role of accelerators, incubators, and even corporate innovation partners. So these are the intermediaries to the corporates, because sometimes, you know, as you rightly mentioned, sometimes corporates may be too structured with some extent of bureaucracy. So sometimes, even though they would very much like to work with startups, because of the bureaucracy, things don't move as fast. So the intermediary, so whether it's a accelerator, corporate innovation partner, would then be able to work with the corporate to distill some of these areas that the corporates require. And sometimes it helps coming from external. So from the outside in, they would observe, okay, so these are the different dilemmas or challenges that the corporate is facing. They could also talk to different business units within the corporates, and then they come together to kind of arrive at a particular, you know, a few challenge statements and be able to distill and translate that to the startups. And I think that is, in itself, is quite an important role that I guess as governments, look, you know, as we look at this particular piece, it's about enabling this type of collaboration. And the role of partners is also important to bring the different startups together to meet the demands and the needs of the corporate. So I think this part, I guess it is an area that we cannot also overlook. It is quite important as well. Yeah, just wanted to add on to you. Thanks.
Yes. Actually, when we talk about like a acceleration program, I think it's quite interesting, especially for the case of Singapore, because, for example, in Thailand as well, we would like to run something like this as well. But I think the most important thing to make we connect with the global market and make a visibility to the global market is to attract the startup from other country to landing or to join acceleration program. And I think we try in last couple of years. We did very okay, but not well as we expect. But I think the Singaporean startup, Singaporean acceleration program did very well to attract the startup from the global market to land and to join the acceleration program. What do you think that is the key success factor to attract, key component that to attract the global startup from the global come and join the acceleration program that you run?
Thanks for the question. Well, I guess in a way it very much you know, comes back to the ecosystem. And I think Thailand has quite a robust ecosystem that you have developed and a huge market. And I think this is something that NIA has been doing quite a good job of over the last few years. For Singapore, I think the fact is we are quite a small market. So in a way, it's easier to test-bait certain ideas. And I guess when you talk about platforms and showcase or even startup physical ecosystems, fairly easy to bring everybody under one roof. So in Singapore, we have the Block 71 development. So it's like a campus of sorts where we have different startups coming together, and we have the various partners within the ecosystem, whether it's investors, you know, VCs, accelerators, all under one roof. And because of the proximity, it enables a lot of these activities to be run and planned fairly efficiently. Then I guess on the other hand is also the support of the educational institutions. They are usually co-located within or near universities. So that helps in a way. So getting access to startups, the support network, whether it's in the form of technology, research, because of the proximity is easier. And that's where we also see best of breed technologies being, I guess, you know, forming. And then from there, it's a bit easier, right, for the startups to also get access to the support that they need. Yeah, so not just the VCs, but also like banks, yeah, the entire ecosystem. Yeah.
Yeah, and I have to add one thing, right? I grew up in Singapore. Bodok. area, Pudok Town Secondary School. So one of the things that I think Singapore did well when I helped a lot of my friends' company from Singapore expanded here is they also have Enterprise Singapore that run and help startup, right, to support these in different regions, right? I think that's the I think other embassies have to learn from Enterprise Singapore, right, to support startup, have someone dedicated to support innovation business startup as well in the embassy, which I think a lot of the staff from the embassy are already talking with us in terms of pushing that. So I think to a few key points in terms of building entrepreneurial network, right? I think one of the things is what we are looking at working on is actually creating this startup sort of ASEAN plus startup council, not just work for Thailand, but also working with our friends from different parts of the world. One thing is how do we push for more? I think Sim gave a very good example. One of my angel investor also said he would not invest in anyone first startup, only invest in the second startup onwards, right? So how do we make them fail more faster so they can learn quickly? But second point, Dr. Panat mentioned a very good thing, which we did a survey for Thai startup that expanded to Vietnam, for example. 80% of them, their first 10 clients is SCG. Without asking that. So that seems to be the case that I look in when I look into Japanese startup expanded overseas. Japanese corporates overseas are also their first clients overseas. So I think with that we can utilize these corporate partners, which we have been working with at least for the one investing in Vietnam, for example, on can they help startup learn and land there. But at the same time, since they are there, if startup in that country want to come to Thailand, they can also help, right? So I think this is the bridge that we have to do in that sense. And I think the last piece is at least for ASEAN, we have similar challenges, but also very different challenges. If we can think of the whole region as one, we will not be lacking any resources. For example, Thailand, we always read in the report, we lack technical talent. Right? We produce about 5,000 ICT skill every year from Expo, only 5,000, right? But then when we look into Vietnam, we have more than abundance of technical talent. But Thailand has a lot of creative talents here, right? Indonesian has a very different sort of talents. If you can think of the whole ecosystem as a whole and create a true regional company, then it will be easier to build the new business, but also for international investor from Japan, from other countries, from the European Union to look into. And I think to the last point, I think we need more mentor from successful countries to join us and teach us here, teach the entrepreneur how to go global, right? And then I think with under the last theme that Ayumi-san mentioned, we should push and support regional collaboration on SDG goals, right? If you were to create anything, I think let's put that on the map and push it to create some things that happen, and I'm more than willing to support with any initiative, and that's kind of the summary I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed for your ideas, your suggestions that we can drive our startup ecosystem in the region all together. We are truly confident that the collective idea from all of you as the experts team in this region will pave the way for innovative solutions and inspire impactful change. To conclude today's programs for SEASA 2023, I would like to invite Dr. Panat Chairat, Executive Director, the National Innovation Agency Thailand, to say a few words as for the closing remark.
Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to thank our 4 speakers for this afternoon. This is another innovation for SEASA. The first 3 assembly, we mainly ask our collaborative agencies around the region to update about the ecosystem. But this year is very special that we have OECD experience talking about cross-border collaboration a very so-called high-level strategic implementation on a multilateral level. And at the same time, we learn a lot from small country, but very innovative one. Top countries on industries like Japan that's trying to support so-called newly established company like startup with a lot of instrument, and at the same time we learn from Czechia about how the innovation and startup ecosystem landscape over there has changed. I believe that quite a few number of the experience and also instruments for Southeast Asian countries, we already have similar instruments, accelerators, innovation fund, districts, or even working with university industries. But again, the instrument doesn't mean that we have a similar instrument and with a similar result, right? So in that sense, we learn from the utilization of tools and instrument, learn something very critical, intangible things, so-called different culture, different mindset, different policy deployment that make countries different. But again, I think Southeast Asia Startup Assembly is a very good tools and instruments for ASEAN countries plus our collaborative nations, that we can learn from each other, and at the same time we can think about how we can cooperate in the near future. And I believe that the more we talk, the more we share, it will lead to a new global value chain that's full of startup and innovation. I would like to close the fourth Southeast Asia Startup Assembly by thank you everybody here in the rooms and also from Zoom. And we will see each other again next year. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your kind words. This is all about our partnership for growth together. Thank you very much, everyone. Hope to see you again and again for the next time. Thank you.